Fitness. Fitness means different things to different people, so we're just going to work with what is in this presentation. Fitness is the ability to perform moderate to vigorous levels of physical activity without undue fatigue. It's the body's ability to withstand stress and pressure. Exercise is a structured sequence of movements that the body does consistently over a period of time with the goal to build the components of fitness. And for those of you that do not regularly exercise, you can still get benefits from 30 minutes a day, 5 or more days a week. This is where I get to tell you that it doesn't have to be 30 minutes at one time. It's cumulative. A body in motion as opposed to a body at rest. Just move. Some of the physical benefits of exercise: it can reduce your risk of heart disease. Aerobic exercise requires the sustained increase in the use of oxygen. It gets your heart rate up and it keeps it up. These benefits include reduced risk of high blood pressure or hypertension, boosting the healthy blood cholesterol called HDL, and lowering the blood levels of another type of fat called triglyceride. We'll talk about HDLs and LDLs more when we get to heart disease. Another benefit is it aids in weight management and improving body composition, meaning for some folks it helps to reduce the percentage of body fat and increase the percent muscle mass. And in doing so, it helps to increase your metabolic rate, it increases your muscle to fat ratio, and it helps to burn calories at rest. Muscle is a more metabolically active tissue than fat, so it burns more calories. However, and this is a big however, it's not as much as you want it to be. But muscle takes up less room than fat, so increasing your muscle mass can decrease your body size. Improved immune system functioning. We talked about natural killer or NK cells when we looked at immunity and infection. Exercise can help increase NK, natural killer cells. It can increase your energy level. And here I'm not talking about energy as calories, but that, you know what I mean. It may reduce risk of osteoarthritis and osteoporosis because muscle strengthening and stressing as well as weight-bearing exercise can improve bone health. And it can increase sensitivity to insulin, the hormone that helps to regulate blood sugars. Aerobic exercise includes running, walking briskly, anything that gets your heart rate up and keeps it up. Aerobic exercise uses large muscle groups in repetitive rhythmic motion. It's recommended to have a goal of 3 or more days a week of aerobic exercise with at least 20 minutes. But again, it does not have to be at one time. The benefits are cumulative. Anaerobic exercise involves short bursts of intense muscle activity. This helps to tone and build muscle. It improves muscle fitness, which includes strength and endurance. Our fitness regime also includes stretching. Flexibility training focuses on achieving and maintaining a full range of motion. Stretching includes static stretching. This is what's recommended. Slowly stretching a muscle to an extended stretch and holding it. It does not include ballistic stretching or bouncing. Don't do that bouncing stuff, folks. That's what can cause injuries and soreness. You know what I'm talking about. There are different types of injuries that can occur with exercise. I'm sure a number of you are going to be able to tell me about those injuries. They can occur all of a sudden when you get that, gee, I wish I wouldn't have done that feeling. Strains, muscle strains, sprains. For some people, it can even cause heart problems. And then there are the overuse injuries that develop gradually over time as your bone, muscle, and connective tissue get stressed repeatedly beyond their ability to recover. These include tendinitis, stress fractures, and shin splints. And if somebody can tell me what to do about shin splints, I would be truly grateful. Treatments of injuries include something called RICE. This is just for minor injuries, folks. The RICE principle involves rest, ice, compression, and elevation. Elevation above the heart. That's why this guy is laying down to keep his injury above his heart. When it comes to eating, what can you eat to build muscle strength and mass? Well, first of all, the bad news, muscle mass begins to slow down and decrease after about 30. This is because of a decrease in testosterone in men and estrogen in women. These hormones help build muscle. And here are the recommendations. They really shouldn't look any different from what we talked about in nutrition. 10 to 35% of your calories from protein. Really not a lot of benefit from eating more than that. Maintaining muscle mass requires less protein than building muscle mass, but building muscle mass does not require more than 35% of your calories coming from protein. 45 to 65% of your calories from carbohydrate. These carbohydrates break down into glucose, which gets stored as glycogen in the muscle tissue. And 20 to 35% of your calories from fat. Nancy Clark, a sports dietitian who has worked with Olympic athletes, actually recommends chocolate milk as a good choice of a replenishment beverage after an activity because it contains proteins, carbohydrates, and fat. Of course, it's not the only choice. It just happens to be my favorite. Red alert, folks. These are drugs that people use to boost their performance. Andro is a controlled substance. It doesn't build muscle or increase testosterone, and it's illegal. Creatine, which I know a lot of folks use, can cause dehydration, heat-related illness, electrolyte imbalances. It reduces blood volume, which is why it's so important to drink fluids when folks take this. And your body makes creatine, and you get it in your diet. And GPL is an unapproved drug. It's associated with death, comatose, and unconsciousness. Some of the side effects of anabolic steroids that some people use in order to increase that muscle mass without having to do all the work. Well, you can look at these. It also inhibits your body's ability to make its own anabolic steroids. Ergogenic aids are the ones that are supposed to boost performance. These include caffeine, baking soda. Can somebody tell me why baking soda is recommended? I know, I looked it up. I want to know what you know. Glycerol and HGH, or human growth hormone. Your body makes human growth hormone. Don't be taking it. If you are taking supplements, the label on the left, USP verified, is what you want to see on the bottle. USP verified means what's on the label is in the bottle. You see, supplements are not regulated by the government, so you can have fraudulent products out there. If you see products labeled with the ones on the right, made in an FDA-registered facility, gluten-free, patent-pending, all-natural, that doesn't mean anything. They're not lying, but they're not giving you the full information. These labels do not mean that what's in the bottle is what's on the label. Don't look for those labels. Look for USP verified. Just because I have it, the different benefits, short-term and long-term benefits of ketogenic diet on fat, lean body mass, aerobic, anaerobic, and strength performance. You tell me what you think. See you in class. Bye-bye.